In a moment brimming with gravity, grace, and geopolitical urgency, King Charles III stood before the Canadian Parliament in Ottawa and delivered a speech that has echoed far beyond the polished walls of government. Canada is facing a critical moment, he proclaimed, words that were not only spoken with royal authority but charged with personal concern, political foresight, and historical weight. This was no ceremonial address steeped in pageantry or a perfunctory gesture of diplomacy. It was a rallying cry, a declaration underscoring Canada's place in a world teetering on the edge of division, economic confrontation, and environmental peril. And the world is paying attention. Let's journey through the layers of this landmark address and its implications, breaking down the meaning behind every phrase, analyzing the global context, and uncovering what King Charles's rare political candor signals about the future of Canada, the Commonwealth, and the global order itself. King Charles III is no stranger to carefully chosen words. Throughout his decades-long journey from Prince of Wales to monarch, he has been lauded, and sometimes criticized, for his willingness to speak out on matters many royals consider taboo. Climate change, urban planning, interfaith dialogue. Now, in Ottawa, he added Canada's geopolitical future to that list. Canada is facing a critical moment, the king said, his voice measured but unmistakably urgent. It is a time of choosing, of reaffirming values, of shaping destiny rather than having it shaped by others. Observers were quick to draw connections between this poignant opening and two of the most pressing challenges confronting Canada: the looming threat of tariffs from a possible second Trump administration in the United States, and whispers of Arctic annexation fueled by Russian interest in the region's untapped resources. King Charles continued, "The partnerships we cherish, the environment we protect, and the liberties we hold dear, they require constant vigilance. They demand resilience, and above all, unity." Behind the king's words lies a brewing economic storm. The U.S., Canada's largest trading partner, is at the heart of this tension. With former President Donald Trump increasingly vocal about a return to protectionist trade policies, including the reimposition of harsh tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, the economic future of Canada could once again be under siege. In 2018, Canada was rocked when the Trump administration imposed steep tariffs on Canadian goods under the guise of national security. The move devastated industries, triggered retaliatory tariffs, and strained one of the world's most enduring alliances. Now, with Trump leading in key Republican primaries and signaling a hardline return to America First, the fears are returning. Canada must be prepared, said political economist Nathan McTavish. King Charles's speech was not random. It was a subtle but powerful call for Canadians to brace for external economic shocks and to double down on internal strength. Charles's tone was clear. In an age of shifting alliances and weaponized economics, Canada must not take its sovereignty, or its economic stability, for granted. Beyond trade wars, a colder conflict is beginning to thaw, literally and politically. The Arctic, long a frozen frontier of ice and isolation, is fast becoming the world's next geopolitical battleground. As climate change melts its barriers, access to untapped natural resources, new shipping lanes, and territorial claims are drawing attention from global powers. And Canada, with its expansive northern territory, sits at the center of this new frontier. Recently, Russia's increasing military activity in the Arctic and its expansionist rhetoric have raised alarms among NATO allies. Chinese interest in establishing a polar Silk Road adds another layer of complexity. Together, these movements have sparked fears that Canada's sovereignty in the north could be challenged, perhaps even annexed in parts. In this context, King Charles's reference to protecting the environment and defending liberties takes on chilling new meaning. This is not science fiction, says Arctic policy analyst Jennifer Okalik, herself an Inuit scholar. For Indigenous communities in the north, sovereignty isn't an abstract idea, it's a question of survival. The king knows that, and he's drawing a line in the snow. Of all the causes King Charles has championed throughout his life, none has been more passionate or consistent than climate change. In Ottawa, his speech pivoted elegantly to this defining crisis of our age. "We cannot afford complacency when it comes to our planet," he declared. "The climate emergency is not future tense, it is now. And it is here." He praised Canada's environmental legacy, noting efforts to preserve its forests, waters, and wildlife. But he also warned of the tipping point, a moment beyond which the damage becomes irreversible. The king's words struck a chord, especially in a country that has seen record-breaking wildfires, devastating floods, and indigenous communities threatened by disappearing ecosystems. Experts see this as a royal attempt to place climate action squarely within the realm of national security and identity. His Majesty's speech was a blueprint, environmental historian drive. Lainey Archer observed, "It's not just about polar bears and melting ice caps. It's about Canada as a leader or a laggard. And the world is watching." No analysis of this speech is complete without acknowledging the political elephant in the room, Donald Trump. Though King Charles refrained from naming names, the specter of Trump loomed large throughout his address. The former president's campaign promises to revisit tariffs, question NATO, and abandon climate accords all directly threaten Canadian interests. And unlike his previous term, Trump's second act may unfold in a world far more divided and chaotic. Canada has faced storms before, King Charles said, but what makes a nation strong is its ability to learn from them and to lead others through them. That veiled message wasn't just for Canadian lawmakers, it was for global allies, U.S. voters, and anyone considering the direction of Western leadership. It was a reminder that the monarchy, while apolitical in theory, does not exist in a vacuum. And King Charles, perhaps more than any modern monarch, understands how to wield soft power with sharp precision. Amidst warnings and geopolitical reflections, King Charles also carved out space for hope and healing. He dedicated a portion of his address to Indigenous peoples of Canada, calling them the heartbeat of this land, and recognizing the pain of the past. "We cannot move forward without acknowledging where we've been," he said. But in truth, reconciliation is not a destination, it is a relationship. This line drew a standing ovation, particularly from Indigenous leaders who were present for the address. Many have viewed the monarchy with skepticism, citing its colonial legacy and connection to the harms of residential schools. But Charles has taken unprecedented steps to engage with Indigenous communities, including personal apologies and visits to sacred lands. His inclusion of reconciliation in a speech focused on Canada's critical moment was no accident. It was an affirmation that national strength begins with internal justice. Perhaps the most philosophical portion of King Charles's Ottawa address was his reflection on the crown itself. "The monarchy is not a relic of the past," he said. "It is a mirror of the present, a lens through which the values of a nation are magnified and made durable." It was an unusually direct articulation of royal relevance, especially in Canada, where Republican sentiments occasionally stir and debates over constitutional monarchy resurface. But in moments of uncertainty, the continuity and symbolism of the crown can offer reassurance. Political analyst Sandra Bishop remarked, "Charles is walking a fine line. He is being bold without being partisan. And in doing so, he's reinventing the monarchy as an active conscience for a troubled world." King Charles's speech made headlines across the globe. From The Guardian to The Washington Post, coverage highlighted the unusual clarity and scope of his warning. In Europe, commentators saw it as a reaffirmation of Canada's Western alignment. In the Global South, it was read as a call to fairness in global trade and climate accountability. In short, it was a royal speech with international consequences. For Canada, it was a challenge. For its allies, a reminder. For its rivals, a warning. The real test will not be how beautifully the speech was delivered, but how bravely it is acted upon. Canada must prepare for potential trade conflicts, defend its Arctic borders, accelerate climate action, and deepen reconciliation. These are not ceremonial tasks. They are survival imperatives. And King Charles, though not a lawmaker, has made it abundantly clear that he sees the road ahead, and he is urging Canada to walk it with courage. As King Charles left the podium, the applause was thunderous, but the mood was reflective. Canada is, indeed, at a critical moment. One where choices matter, where unity is tested, where leadership is essential, and the question is not whether Canada will face challenges, it will. The question is how it will respond. Will it rise, or will it retreat? Now it's your turn. What do you think about King Charles's warning to Canada? Are we truly facing a critical moment, and what should the country do next? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth royal analysis and breaking news.